I want to talk about something I think that all people can relate to. You know, your wages go up, and you work and you work and you chase this American dream, only to find out that while you've made more than you did initially, you're still running in place because the cost of living tends to one-up you every single time there is a wage increase. So $15 an hour is now the new $7 an hour. And I watch people run this rat race. You know, I watch men bust their tails to try to get these material things to be impressive to people that, you know, may or may not care about them. And I watch them break themselves. And, you know, to a certain degree, I'm one of those men that has broken himself in the past. But when you recognize that a situation isn't going to change, despite your efforts towards that situation, then you have to make a choice. And that choice is, do you continue to operate within the at a deficit lifestyle that life may, you know, present to you? Do you leave that lifestyle in hopes of getting another job or another career? There's a big difference between a job and a career. A job is based off of dollars. A career is based off of the feeling you get from it. That's my opinion, at least. Everything's so monetized now. You know, everything is about monetary gain, to where fulfillment and satisfaction don't really mean anything today. Well, the choice that I want to make, and it's an incremental choice. My choice is to downsize my life depending upon an evaluation of those things in my life. What works? What doesn't work? I need to evaluate what in my life works, what in my life has a purpose, what in my life I can live with, and what in my life I can live without. As an artist, I've always tried to, surround myself with beauty. But it occurred to me that I create beauty. I create things. And my life could be full in a single room. And, you know, there's many people that are getting small, houses. What are they? The tiny houses. And I didn't understand it at first. You know, I thought, okay, this is a trend. But this is really a symptom of people saying enough is enough. When you see people going back to living off the grid, I don't think any of those people started out as folks that were like, I don't want to live with the TV and internet and all this other stuff. You almost have to have the internet, which is unfortunate, because you can't live a completely analog lifestyle. But today, I had an epiphany. And the epiphany is, I had to look at how many things do I have in my life because society has told me that's what a man of my age is supposed to have. Now, this isn't going to be one of those videos of complete and utter irresponsibility. It's really about a plan, and having a plan for the life that you want. I run the rat race. You know, I'm an artist. I work to keep health insurance, because art, as great as it may be, you can run off $10,000 of sales in a month. It's pretty much feast or famine, and you have to have constant revenue streams coming in. With health insurance, you have to have a sure thing. And my health is such that I'm not going to take a chance and not have that health insurance that I would need. But the desire to want to downsize the content of my life has been eating at me lately. And I really have thought about, what does a downsize mean? You have downsizing of life when it comes to actual property where you live. You have downsizing when it comes to your material goods. But I think there's also an emotional downsizing. And the best way I can describe it is you have a bandwidth for dealing with people. And I think that bandwidth, that threshold, shouldn't be reached immediately. And a lot of times we spend working with people and absorbing people and their problems without ever dealing with our own. We don't get to deal with our own dirt, our own situations, our own personal, because we have people in our lives that are looking to be rescued. They're looking, and it's a drain. How many of those people are actually necessary that you're giving time to? And this is not family. You know, we're not going to talk about family. We're not going to talk about people in your lives. You know, it's not necessarily spouses or things like that. But what I'm talking about are people that are non-essential. We give more time to people that don't matter. And I'm not saying that they don't have any value in life. I'm saying that they don't matter. We give more time to people that don't matter than people that do, because we take people that do matter for granted. And when you take people that do matter for granted, what ends up happening is regret. And sometimes we lose ourselves in that. When you lose yourself after having given and spread yourself thin, then you don't know who you are. And that happens with a lot of people that retire. A friend of mine is getting ready to retire. And my question for him is, okay, well, what are you going to do after you retire? What are you going to do? What's your plan? What's your play? And he didn't really have a play. This guy didn't have a game plan. His wife was taking care of her ailing father. And he hadn't worked out exactly what he was going to do. He hadn't worked out where exactly he wanted his life to go. You know, he hadn't thought about life outside of work. And I don't want to make that same mistake. What I would like to do is know what life is going to look like from here to, I don't know, to 80. And to build a life around that. That's a goal of mine. I want to know exactly what I'm going to be doing. Even if I get the opportunity to retire, which, you know, it's highly dubious that I'll ever retire. In my profession, there's a cap. You know, everybody has a cap as far as their profession. And I have a cap too, because of the decisions that I've made and the, you know, in the industry that I chose to be in. So what does that look like? There are people that cause you stress. And there are people that cause you stress necessarily. And then there are unnecessary people. I find that there are more people within most folks' lives that cause stress needlessly. But people are so starved for a human connection that they endure the stress of another human being. They endure the baggage of another human being. And I'm not saying don't be there for people, but everything needs to be compartmentalized. There should be a very finite amount of what you will absorb and what you should absorb. So a scale back of life from a emotional and peace of mind standpoint, I think looks like this. I've got a handful of friends, and these friends have crossed the threshold of the barricade that Nathan Lee has up as far as, you know, defending his heart, his spirit. And these are people that I take unconditionally into my life for the most part. And I choose to love these people because they've penetrated that part of me that most people don't. Those people are the essentials. Those are the people that you can let your hair down, you know, to say. And those are the people that deserve the focus. I spoke with my daughter, and we don't use the technology that we have to talk a lot. And she lives in another state. And the funny thing is right there is an opportunity to connect. There are some people that come up with reasons as to why, it's so you can't connect, what they could have done, what they should have done, instead of simply doing. Those kinds of people you don't want in your life because they make connection difficult. And sometimes they're very quick to tell you that the lack of connection that you're getting from them is because of you. Remove those people or put those people in their proper place. There are people at work that never leave the job. And when you get there, they immediately want to talk to you about work before you clock in. Why? We give 15 hours of ourselves to an 8-hour job. We give 15 hours to an 8-hour job, and that includes talking about the job, thinking about the job, dreading the job. And then the remnant of time that we have that's not spent sleeping, we can't enjoy because of this impending thing that we've created, which is dread. If I chose to live in dread, then my life has very little meaning and very little definition. If I chose to live in a certain kind of darkness, then my eyes are always going to hurt when I see the light. And that's really important. The older I've gotten, the more that I've considered that. So from an artist's standpoint and perspective, this is sort of like it's kind of streaming thoughts that I'm having. But the concept of downsizing has really, really resonated with me. And I'm even talking about an emotional downsize. I find myself utilizing emotions that really are not relevant or even applicable to a situation. Getting angry for no reason because initially you think that what you're involved in is important is a great weakness of mine. I get angry at people that are of no consequence, that I see them for what they are. They are exposed, and I am angry because they don't see that they've been exposed. That's not my job. My job isn't to see for them what I've already seen. That's not my job. To a certain degree, those kinds of people have to be minimized. They have to be minimized. They have to be put into a certain area or removed altogether. And that's the humor of a lot of things. You look back and laugh, the whole saying, I look back and I laugh at, an argument that I had or a moment of anger that I had. There really was no reason for it. We have so much power in our individual hands, and we failed to use it because of fear. And we're fearing certain things and certain people that are nothing more than chihuahuas. Because other than their acknowledgement, good or bad, what exactly are we getting from them? I can tell you what I get from my daughter. Whether we're at odds or not, she's the extension of me. When I die, I will continue through her. That is the value that she brings to my life. My family has loved me regardless, non-judgmentally. They get a pass. They are something to invest time in. My mother and father have been pillars as I watch them conclude their lives. They are some of the last people that I see that are that have virtue, They are virtuous people. They're not perfect people, but they're evidence that there was some sanity in the world, especially juxtaposed against what we have now, which is a pretty, it's lunacy. It's civilized lunacy is all it is, and I say civilized lightly. A minimized life does not mean a negative life. It doesn't mean a small life. What it means is having those things close to you and those people close to you that legitimately mean something. My art around me, it means something. Certain comforts mean things to me, but how many do I actually use? When you have stuff, if you have things laying around your house that are of no use, you have to ask yourself why you have them. And then you have to get over the fear of getting rid of them. Sometimes it's time to clean house, and sometimes you have to recognize when.